Okay, let me explain the interface a little bit. When you click on the icon to start the product, you'll get a welcome screen that has panels on it that include the options to open and save projects, and then it also mentions families and resources. Well, the product also keeps track of projects that you've been in and lists them here. So you see that on the different panels you can open or create a new project, and you don't have separate drawings in Revit. Everything is one database, so one project includes in it sections, elevations, legends, and all the rest of the information you normally have in a project. Families in Revit are content. There's content delivered with the product in terms of different doors, different windows, but there are occasions when maybe you've got a hospital building and you need to create something that's unique to that project, like a piece of equipment, and then you could create that custom equipment through use of families. For this class, because we're just getting started, what I'm going to do is just show you the options of creating a new project, and we'll draw everything from scratch. Before we start, let me just click on this sample project, and this is in the folder that's called demo that I made available to you. I just want to explain the parts of the interface. So the parts of the interface are broken down like this. There's what's called the application menu on the top left, and it usually has a large letter to indicate the application that you're in, like R for Revit, or I for Inventor, or A for AutoCAD. And if you click on the black dot there, you'll see a lot of the familiar commands like create a new project, open a project, save it with a different name, export it to different file formats, publish, print, close the project. That application menu you'll find in all the different products, and so this is really an example of interoperability. If you know where to go in Revit here to do those things, it's the same in other Autodesk products. Right beside it is what's called the Quick Access Toolbar, and the Quick Access Toolbar is a place where you can store your most used commands. So what's a little different about it is the fact that it's customizable. If I go to, say, the place wall command that you see here, and I right click and I say add to Quick Access Toolbar, it would put it up here for me to access quickly. Also, if I right click on the menu and I say on a command, I could say remove that command from the Quick Access Toolbar. The other options are things like saying show the Quick Access Toolbar below the ribbon, or if I right click and say show it above the ribbon. The command that you probably use in this getting started exercise is this 3D command to look at a 3D model very quickly of the building. So we'll probably click on this a lot. Beside it here, partially obscured, you've got the title bar. It tells you which product you're in and which project you have open. Beside that, this part here is called the Info Center. It's where you can go out on the internet and look for content. Probably I should point out to you that this help symbol here, if I click on this down arrow, you can click on videos and it would take you to the Autodesk website that has a series of getting started movies that are different from what I'm going to do. Mine are a little more, the project is smaller and we cover more features. They're also it's based on 2011. Let me kill that window. You know where you can get this information. You go look for it later. So continuing with the user interface, this part here is referred to as the ribbon. It was a little controversial when it was first introduced. It's been through 2 iterations now where it's being kind of redesigned and kind of fine-tuned, and it's actually pretty cool now. The parts of it are that commands are grouped according to function really. The Home tab has most of your drafting commands on it for building components, and that's largely what we're going to use in this exercise. Insert is bringing in other files, like linking another project into this project, or an AutoCAD drawing, or a DWF, or bringing in maybe a MicroStation drawing or images. We're not going to do too much of that. Annotations more about documenting the project with dimensions and labels. We're not going to do too much of that. We'll do a little bit on structure, because under structure I can do things like put in foundations. We won't do much on massing, except that we'll touch on topography, because we'll create like a terrain model that's kind of a representative terrain model. It's not really in great detail, but collaborate is really for when you're in an office and you're working in a project with maybe 20 other people. So I'm not going to touch on that. It's kind of an advanced topic. Views are the kind of documentation that you produce from your single data set that is your Revit project. Things like camera views, walkthroughs, a 3D view, or sections are all produced from here. So we will do that to create maybe some rendered views and some sections. Manage, we're not going to do too much with. We might touch on materials to make our own materials. Add-ins you won't see unless you've got other products loaded on your workstation, like maybe Navisworks, where if I wanted to, there's a add-in that lets me extract my model and use it in Navisworks, where I can do additional things like, say, order all of the building components on a timeline and play them back in a movie, so I see the building being assembled with the tasks laid out in something like a Gantt chart. And modify is kind of a useful one, because it's things like aligning objects, which I'll point out to you as one of my favorite commands, but also trimming things like walls where you want them to be trimmed so that they come together. I'll just let the help thing show you what I mean. Also things like moving or copying objects, I should say. So if I wanted to like copy a wall, you can see how these work. So kind of editing functions around here. Particularly useful are things that let you in the clipboard copy something to the clipboard and then paste it in on other locations within your project. You'll see how I use that. You can toggle through options for the display of the ribbon by clicking on the button here. Really the issue there is screen space. If you don't have a lot of real estate and you want to restrict your ribbon to a smaller size, you could do it like that. I'm going to work with the ribbon fully expanded. And the parts of the ribbon, if I do it this way, you'll see that these are the tabs on the top. These are the panels that are grouped according to kind of names like clipboard geometry. So if I did minimize to tabs or panel titles or panel buttons, these are just options to let you control how this thing looks. Now like I said, I'm going to work with it like this.